and the opportunities and the threats. So it's not only about the threats, it's also a big opportunity for economy. And this is what Cybertech is about. So for this special, first of its kind gathering at Cybertech between India and Israel, I am more than honored to call to this small podium His Excellency Ambassador Sanjeev Kumar Singla. Thank you very much and good luck to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste and shalom to everybody. Mr. Rapoport, founder of Cybertech, my friend Ron Malka, former ambassador of Israel to India and former Director General of Israeli Ministry of Economy, Anat, President of Israel Asia Chambers of Commerce, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really delighted to be here at Cybertech 2023 to welcome all of you at this special side event on cyber opportunities in India. And after a fairly long hiatus imposed by COVID-19 pandemic, we have a strong delegation from India this year at this event, as Mr. Rapoport has mentioned, the second largest only after the US delegation. India, as you would be aware, is the fastest growing major economy in the world. And that is a substantive development because India is growing from a very large base. It is already the world's 5th largest economy. And the latest edition of the government's economic survey will be presented tomorrow, where you will get a more granular picture into the macroeconomic data of the economy. Our annual budget is scheduled to be presented a day later on 1st of February. We are likely to grow over 6.5% this fiscal and projected to grow over 6% for the rest of this decade. That's another 7 years. And a recent detailed research report by Morgan Stanley was titled, "Why This is India's Decade." It analyzed how India is on the path to become the world's 3rd largest economy by the end of this decade. And one of the key factors that it identified as aiding this transformation is digitalization. Now, as many of you would be aware, India is witnessing a massive digital transformation to help improve the ease of living for all Indian citizens. There has been a strong government push for digital infrastructure through various initiatives such as Aadhaar, which is the world's largest and one of its most sophisticated biometric identity systems, under which every citizen of India has been given a unique identity number. Digital India, smart cities, e-governance, and UPI, the Unified Payments Interface, which is revolutionizing fintech in India. With Digital India, India has emerged as one of the world's leading digital economies. Today, we are the world's fastest growing e-commerce market. We are home to the 2nd largest number of internet users and smartphone users in the world. And with one of the lowest costs of internet data, India has the highest mobile data consumption rate in the world, over 17 gigabytes per month. The digital revolution has already changed the way India handles documents, how it invests, makes payments, and it will transform the way we lend and carry out insurance. As a world leader in fintech, our digital payments market is expected to cross $10 trillion by 2026. That's in another 3 to 4 years. Digital solutions from India are not only solutions for the 1.4 billion people of India, but for over 5 billion people of the world who aspire to move into the middle class. India's open source public digital platforms such as UPI and Aadhaar have been revolutionary in their social and economic inclusion. Just the example of the UPI will give you the scale of transformation in India which is happening. Last year, in the month of December alone, that's about a month ago, there were over 7.8 billion transactions in just 1 month, valued at over 150 billion US dollars using UPI. And the pace of UPI's growth in India is so tremendous that there was over a 90% jump year on year in the number of transactions last year. from mobile and semiconductor manufacturing to the recent rollout of 5G in India, with increasing reliance on indigenous technologies, this decade is largely expected to be India's decade, as they call it, as we are looking to greatly enhance our capabilities in digital technology and our share in the global digital economy. Now, the exponential increase in the number of internet users in India and the rapidly evolving technology landscape also brings with it unique challenges and susceptibility to cyber threats. As a data powerhouse, India has a greater responsibility towards data protection and to ensure that the digital transformation happens in a secure cyber environment. We are working on this as well, and we have significantly improved our ranking in the ITU Global Cybersecurity Index to be among the top 10 countries now. India's greater adoption of digital technologies for public service delivery and in critical infrastructure such as water, electricity, logistics, among others, offers immense scope for Israeli companies to not only look at India but also to be part of India's decade. India and Israel, of course, are strategic partners. There's a great level of trust and comfort, not only among the governments, but also among the public and the private sector, which is important. We have recently completed 30 years of establishment of full diplomatic relations between our countries. India is Israel's second biggest trading partner in Asia. Our bilateral trade last year recorded a historic high of about $7.8 billion, and we are expected to set a new record this year. Successful cooperation between India and Israel in the defense and security partnership is well known. I see that there's a lot that India and Israel can benefit from each other's strengths, Israel's cyber strengths, as you mentioned, Mr. Rapoport, and India's fintech abilities would need to be married for the greater good, not only in India but also in Israel. And that's an endeavor which can benefit from direct air connectivity between Israel and India's tech hubs such as Bangalore. You mentioned about direct connectivity between Tel Aviv and San Francisco. And in that context, it's important we have a similar one. So let me take this opportunity to thank Cybertech, the CII and SICI for coming together for this very relevant session. I hope you'll have successful deliberations which will enrich the Israeli stakeholders, in particular, on the range of opportunities which beckon them to India. I must mention that we already have another dialogue going on cybersecurity, which is between India-Israel Forum, that's a Track 2 initiative, and the CII. In fact, on the CII, the spearhead is the CTO of TCS, Mr. Anand Krishnan. And on the Israeli side, it is Dr. Giora Yaron, the founder of Tower Semiconductors, and none other than Mr. Igal Unna, the former National Cybersecurity Coordinator, whom you'll be meeting in the second session, I think, today. So I hope that effort and your effort would at some point dovetail with each other. So with these words, thank you so much. Toda Rabba. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador, and without taking too much of your time, I would like to call the former ambassador of Israel to India, the former general director of the Ministry of Economy of Israel, Ron Malka, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My dear friend, His Excellency Ambassador Singla, distinguished guests, it gives me immense pleasure to see such a huge delegation from India. For us, it's so exciting to understand and to see how much we have progressed since the moment that we just started. Ambassador Singla just mentioned that 30 years ago, basic relations between a buyer and a seller, which emerged to be now key strategic partnership. And the reflection of this partnership is you being here, representative of the leading companies and technologies in India, coming here to collaborate with Israel. Nothing can be more exciting than that. Thank you so much for coming, for being here, for collaborating. And yes, we Israelis understand and realize and totally agree that this is going to be the decade of India. This is the historical opportunity window of India to come back to the front of the leading powers in the world, and we want to be part of it. We want to be part of it. The success of India is the success of Israel. That's how we see it. And now we see the flourishing relations between Israel and India that touch now, I think, every aspect of our lives. Every aspect that you can think of, there is a collaboration, a very fruitful one, collaboration between Israel and India. Israel and India, not only that we don't compete each other, we complement each other. If you see, maybe we are not the same and so much alike in the size, but in many other aspects we have so many commonalities that we realize, we understand, we see, and we know how to utilize. And from my experience as the ambassador of Israel to India, whenever I just gathered together Indians and Israel to be the same one, to work together, I saw the positive chemistry that is there. And I tried to understand what it is, how it comes, how do we get that? And I think it's mostly can be explained emotionally, by emotions, because our emotional structure is so similar. We share so many friendship values, family values that are so alike. This is what makes, I think, basically the collaboration between India and Israel is so good and so fruitful. We are willing to share whatever we have, whatever we get with our strategic friend India. And I think that cybersecurity is one of the main, I'd say, endeavors that we are together breaking through, understanding that this is the future, that we want to be in the front in cybersecurity. You always have to be one step ahead of everyone else. Not only defending and protecting, but also deterring. And sometimes you need to be active, and even more than that, maybe proactive. And for that, you need friends, you need strategic friends, you need friendship that is relying on very, I say, deep trust and respect, as Ambassador Singla just mentioned. And this is exactly the issue between Israel and India. I don't know if you're aware of that, but just now, a delegation from India, headed by Mr. Gautam Adani, is on the way to Israel. Adani Group has won the tender on Haifa Port Company. They bought Haifa Port Company, which is a strategic step, not only economic, but a strategic step. In our perspective, they're on the way. Tomorrow there's going to be a very exciting event with the presence of our Prime Minister, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Minister of Transportation, Mrs. Mir Regev, and the Chairman of Adani Group, Mr. Gautam Adani. And this is another step, another milestone in the collaboration of Israel and India, to see leading companies from India coming to Israel, investing here, even in such an investment like Haifa Port Company, understanding that Israel is a strategic point for India. It's a gate for India to the West. And if we are talking about the decade of India and the leap that India is now going through, not even a leapfrogging, but a pole vaulting that India is doing, coming to the front of the leading powers in the world, I think Israel is a key partner for that. And we are willing to be there, we are honored to be there, and to collaborate as much as we can with India, and to see an Indian company, big company, leading company, like Adani Group coming and taking over Haifa Port. This gives us so much pleasure and so much comfort. I wish you all a very productive and constructive conference. I'm sure it's going to be that. And remember that Israel is always there for you, willing to have you, welcome you warmly, as we welcome when we go to India, and hopefully these flourishing relations will flourish more and more and will reach new and new heights and records. Thank you so much.
for many years, but it's definitely on the priority of both governments to try and push forward. We're lucky enough to have leadership that is well connected and well, actually on a friendship level, which definitely allows us to create better connections, not only on the federal level, but also on the specific regions. We have a company that's dealing in its region. Some companies are seeing them in different places. It's not that common. As you probably see now, people who are here just on the first time, it's a very small country. And the fact we're able to reach in such level, for me, the way to do it is through my commercial offices. As a government, beyond our embassy, penetrate both markets on both sides to bring those investments for both sides. And I think the best word I can give everyone here is that it's free. Of course, free for you. For the Israelis, your tax-paying money is the one that funds all of this.
Both in Israel and in India, coming in different prospects. The fact that Israel and India are at the same time are so different in scope, in scale, and in so many other elements, it's also something that needs to be taken. Israel is in many ways insignificant, but when we look at it, when it comes to digital issues and to technology, I think we can play fair game together. It used to be said that Israel and India has, let's say, economies that would complement one another, and not necessarily competitive in many ways. But I think when it comes again to cyber and other elements of digital technology or innovation-based economy, in many ways we can leverage one another. Israel as a hub of technology, and India as a way to implement it, as a platform to engage with India and to the rest of the world. And this is something that Israel cannot do on its own, and India has a very unique set of capacities that can support that. So I think for both countries, there's a lot of reason to engage and collaborate, and both of them can use one another in reaching new heights. So there's potential. Also, there's a lot of ways to reach that, and things are changing and progressing in the right direction. I think another element that has not been discussed so far is the Abraham Accords, and this has been
to India, and you can achieve together more. I'm sure that you will meet during this week I4F. Take the opportunity and apply. They have call for proposal twice a year or so, and they give good money, a few millions for adaptation. Another thing that I spoke yesterday with the CII delegation is the cultural gap. There is a cultural gap. We all have to appreciate it. We are too direct. Some people call us rude, and to do business sometimes is a challenge. But as time passes and we already celebrate 30 years of diplomatic relations, we see stories of success. And the stories of success means that those companies were able to gap the cultural gap that exists. When you work with Israelis, learn the culture. Learn how to work with Israelis as we are educating the Israelis to work with India and learn how to appreciate the culture, appreciate the time, appreciate hierarchy. All those small things can be a challenge towards working together, but it shouldn't. And we have good examples of things that are working very well over our 30 years. Actually, yesterday was the celebration of the end of the 30th. So now we're going to the next decade of our relations. And I'm sure that we will, as Ambassador Singla said, we are touching the 8 billion. Our aim is to reach 15 billion. That's where we're heading. And the fact that you came to Israel means that we are heading there. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I would.
We have full confidence that this is just the beginning of several similar MOUs that we're going to keep seeing with every passing week.